Welcome to our podcast. This is Real Talk with Mary Contrary and Starfish. All right, folks, welcome to Mary Contrary and Starfish. Today, we're going to discuss, we're still continuing with our Project 2025 document breakdown. So this segment today, we're going to talk about the mail-in voting and democratic integrity.
Yes. So thank you, Mary Contrary. In this document, in this Project 2025, the mandate for leadership, one more way in which they're trying to erode the democracy in this country is by preventing mail-in voting. And, you know, I sort of considered this as just another election fraud kind of issue, but it really deserves its own attention because they really do not like mail-in voting, as we all experienced in 2020. And I actually think a lot of people are fearful of mail-in voting. So I thought we could talk a little bit about our experiences. But essentially, the document says provisional ballots and mail-in voting methods present significant risks and require stricter controls to prevent fraud. So we're Colorado voters. Everybody knows we're from Colorado.
Yeah.
Are you a mail-in voting person, or do you go to the ballot box?
You know, it's funny you should ask that, Starfish, because I used to do mail-in voting quite frequently. But just because I guess it depends on the election, honestly. Because I feel like, you know, some of them, it's like, you know, throughout the year you have state elections with like certain issues, and some aren't as important as others. If you know, like the elections just for like local offices and stuff. I mean, it's all important. But like those type of ones that are like, you know, like every November there's like a state election. I usually do vote in or mail-in voting for that. And honestly, I feel like Colorado's done a great job with that, because I will get notifications in my like saying, oh, your ballot's been counted, or, you know, like if you sign up, like you can sign up for notifications to see like where your ballot is and if it got counted. So they do a pretty darn good job of informing the voter, you know, that your vote actually went through as planned. So I feel like even with this presidential election, I still think it's probably a great system for a lot of people that, you know, maybe not able to get out of their house for whatever reason, or you know, they're busy with work, or, you know, because we're all working like 2 or 3 jobs nowadays. So I think it's very helpful to have that as an option as a voter, because it just makes it easier, right? Like, and that's what democracy is. Like, we want to make it easy for everyone to have a voice, right? Like, that's the goal of the people, right?
Right. I think Colorado has one of the highest voter responses, or response rates. I mean, that's what we call it in survey terms, but you know, like the percentage of people who are registered to vote actually vote. So
Well,
it's like
you better not tell
85%.
You better not tell the Heritage Foundation that, Starfish, because then they're going to come after Colorado.
The Secretary of State in Colorado, her name is Jenna. I can't remember her last name off the top of my head.
I think it's Griswold. It's Griswold.
Yes, you're right. I love her.
Yeah.
She is not shy at all. She's all over the news. She's like, come look at Colorado. We're amazing. So I'm like, okay, girl, if you're willing to put forth that. But I agree with you. I mean, I'm definitely a mail-in ballot. I voted by mail-in for the last 15 years, I guess 16. So I think I've voted for mail-in for president at least since Trump. I think the one before it too.
Oh, wow.
So that would put me at 12 years maybe. Yeah, so I voted for Obama that way in 2008, right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I don't go to the ballot box. The reason I don't is because it's, in my mind, I mean, being kind of a researcher, I know that even though it feels less it's not as secure, it's actually more secure than voting in person, which sounds crazy.
So you're saying the voting by mail is a lot more secure. Interesting.
And the
So
reason
why?
is
Yeah.
because no, please go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I was just gonna say I'm interested to hear why you think that the mail-in is more secure than like physically taking it.
Yeah, when you physically take it, more people have their hands on it. So you take
Mm,
it to the box, you put it in the box. Somebody has to take it out of the box. So two people will sit down from each party. They'll open the box together. They count the votes together. They do it all together. But we're talking at this point a few hands because somebody had to take the box from the voting place
or
location
yeah.
to so who's that person? Are they able to get in there? You know, like why is mail-in voting so much less secure when it's literally going from my house to the voting center immediately and being processed immediately? And so that's one way, is that it's in fewer hands. Not as many people touch it, and it is sent directly to the county clerk's office where they open it. So that person in between doesn't take it from your local high school or library or all the voting locations that they have to the clerk and recorder in your county. So that's one way in which it's more secure.
Hmm.
Fewer hands on it. You don't have to have people touching it as much. Also, when you send it in over mail, a lot of it is automated. So you can see exactly when you sent it, exactly when they received it, exactly
Yep.
when they counted it. That ballot tracks is so nice. It tells you all of those pieces. Well, when you drop it off, you don't know when it was received. I guess it was received that day. You don't know when it was counted. You have no idea. You get no tracking on it. As far as I know, I haven't voted in person in a while. Ballot tracks may work for in-person voting as well, but they even tell you when it's on the way. Be expecting this in the mail in the next week or whatever.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
can even sign up for USPS to have it show you that it's coming in the mail. And a lot of people say things like, let's just say somebody were to live here, like my late father, and his ballot showed up and I vote for him. That's election fraud. Well, the problem is I did just commit a felony by doing that. So a lot of people aren't really that motivated by one vote to commit a felony. you know?
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, if you are,
Right.
you're pretty stupid. I guess that's a
Right.
stupid thing to do. Let's
Right.
call it a silly thing to do because you're just going to put yourself in jail for one vote. I saw quite a few people doing that. But
Wow.
they check the voter rolls against the death rolls, the list of people who have died and in the county, because you have to record it with your county recorder when you die.
Right.
So
That
unless you're
makes
not
sense.
recording your parents' death or your loved one's death or whatever, they're going to catch it. So there's just a lot of statistical ways to fix the mail-in voting, which is why Democrats have been pushing for it, is because it's a much more efficient, effective way to get more people to vote. It increases participation quite a bit.
Wow. Okay. Well, um,
I'm a
and
fan.
I'm a fan of it too. And I mean, it really helps people that have inabilities to like add something extra onto their schedule, like driving over to off a vote. Some people are bedridden, some people have medical conditions where they can't leave their house. So this just really helps a lot more people out that otherwise wouldn't be able to vote physically. You know, I just see it
Yeah, and they're
as a
oh,
win-win.
sorry. You just see the Yeah, it is a win-win. Yeah, they've even tried to stop people from helping those people out. Like, you're not allowed to take somebody else's ballot in unless they live in your household or something like that.
Right.
I mean, all these rules are very local. So if you have a very conservative um, c- clerk and recorder or administration in your city, state, county, whatever, you might have more restrict rules like that. Like
Right.
you can't go to a nursing home and grab all their ballots for them and take it in. You can't. In some
Right.
places, I think you can in Colorado, but so I'm like, well, then how are they supposed to vote?
Right.
That is just
Exactly.
eliminating a bunch of people who are, remember what we were talking about, a bunch of people who are possibly disabled, elderly. They don't want those people to vote because they are going to want things that they aren't willing to give up. Money,
Right. Right.
power.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. So,
It
I mean,
always comes down to that.
it really does. And it's like, yeah. So it's like this totalitarian thing that they're doing. It's like they want to make it so hard for everybody to try to have a voice. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's like it's like they only want certain people voting. It's like, have we gone back into the 17 and 1800s here? Like, it's kind of what it feels like a little bit, where it's like only the men could vote and only
Right.
certain men can vote,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it's like,
Landowners, rich people, basically. Yeah.
exactly. And
Rich
I
men,
mean, yep.
worms.
Yeah. The worms want their power back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what this is. Yeah, they're like, oh well, we don't need all this civil rights stuff and all this other crap and equality. Like, just forget it. Because then we
Yeah.
can't.
Who wants these people voting anyway? I mean, they don't represent the real people, the real income, earners of the country. Anyway, why should they get a vote? They're on
Right.
disability. I'm already paying for them. I should get to decide what happens with that money.
And that's the mentality. That's the
It is the
mentality of them.
mentality. It is.
That's the worm mentality. And can you once again explain to our listeners, just because I want to hear it again, because it makes me laugh, the acronym for worm, like
White,
what it stands for?
old, Republican men, worms. I mean, Trump is a
I
classic
love
worm.
that. Oh yeah,
Classic worm.
100%.
I mean,
Absolutely.
he was actually he was a Democrat for a long time. I don't know if everybody knows that. He was like pro-choice and very Democrat. His family is actually like his daughter Ivanka, she's extremely liberal. It's so bizarre that he's a
Right.
conservative. I think the reason he's a conservative is because he found a place, he wanted a place
Exactly.
to live. And this is his place where people love him, despite the fact that I don't think he believes a dang thing he says. He just wants to be in control. So
We have a special announcement for all of our podcasting friends and aspiring creators out there. If you're looking to elevate your podcasting game, check out blueberry.com. With their top-notch services, you can take your podcast to the next level. Plus, we've got an exclusive offer just for our listeners. Use the code STARFISH at checkout to get a special discount on your subscription. Don't miss out on this great deal. Visit blueberry.com and use the code STARFISH today. Yep.
Anyway,
puppet.
Back to voting a little bit. I did want to mention this super cool resource called the MIT Election Lab.
Okay.
So MIT, the school, of course. And, we talked in the last episode about them wanting to kind of take away higher education institutions. And it's for reasons like this. The higher education institutions tend to say, wait a minute, let's actually look at the fraud and see what's really going on. Let's find, there's databases of all the fraud out there and, what happened, how did it occur? Most of the time, 9 times out of 10, it was what I said. Somebody will take the ballot of a loved one and they'll impersonate them. That's a pretty common one. Although I was thinking about it, I mean, you could potentially dress up as an old lady as long as it looked like your mom close enough and go vote for her probably and get away with it still. Like, I don't understand how like twins, people who look similar, there is still a security concern there with voting.
Sure.
So, but nonetheless, MIT took a look at this and they said, okay, how much cases of fraud are there? What kind of cases are there? And they have this wonderful website. It's called the MIT Election Lab. So you can just Google it. It's like electionlab.mit.edu. And it gives tons of data. It's an awesome website on all of the fraud. And it just says over and over and over, like, despite trying to like tell us examples, we'll plug them in here of election fraud. And they just say consistently that it's just negligible. There's nothing there. There's not, it's actually, they specifically say, and this other group, the National Conference of State Legislatures, which I didn't do a ton of research on, but they've consistently found that mail-in voting is both secure and effective with negligible instances of fraud compared to the overall volume of votes. I mean, if you look at mail-in voting versus face-to-face voting, the fraud is just lower in mail-in voting. It's just easier to confirm that you are you and you got your vote in. It's like an electronic vote almost, which again really scares people, but I understand. But it is
Right.
just as secure, if not more, than in-person voting.
Nice.
So,
yep.
So
Well,
MIT Election Lab, check that out. It's a pretty cool website, and I thought it was a neat, visualizations and examples of fraud and things like that. And I mean, I've read so much of this stuff about all these fraud examples. I remember one of them being that the truck itself was like stolen midway, that they dropped off all the
oh my
provisional
God.
mail ballots in a ditch. And I thought, well, that can never happen because I have my ballot tracker telling me when it gets there. And if
Yep.
it doesn't get
Yep.
there, all I got to do is call them up and say, hey, my ballot never got there. I need another ballot, and they'll give you another ballot. And they're not going
Yeah.
to count both ballots if the other ones are found. So I don't, things like that are just okay. They say, well, they could have opened all the envelopes and changed the votes. Well, how do you put the envelope seal back on after they do that? How would you open it
Right.
up? So then you'd have to put it in another envelope. And in Colorado, you have to sign the outside of the envelope. So
That's why they have
forge
that.
our signatures.
Right.
Right. Because they'd have to forge all of our signatures on every single one of those ballots. Let's just say I'm a mail carrier and I steal them all and I open them all up. I change them to Biden. It's just ridiculous.
Like,
And then put them all in new envelopes somehow, and they all have barcodes on them, the envelopes.
Right.
I mean, it's just crazy.
They do. Like, it's impossible to do that. Like, you would get caught immediately if you did something like that.
You would. I challenge anybody to tell me where in a mail-in voting system is such a big problem with it that we shouldn't use it, because I have not been able to find it. I love mail-in voting. I think it's very far superior in every way. I hated having to take a day off or take a few hours off, haul my butt all the way over to where am I going? Local library, something like that. Yeah, you get the fun sticker, but they send you a sticker, by the way, as well in the envelope.
They do. I have them on my computer.
I do too. I love those stickers. So it's not like I don't know. I still feel like it's a patriotic process. It doesn't feel like I'm not putting my vote in. I took a picture of me holding the voting thing, and you're not supposed to do that either.
Right. Exactly.
I did not know that. You're not supposed to post yourself on social media with your mail-in ballot.
You're not supposed to do that.
But,
yeah. So
yeah, that's kind of all of it. That's all there's so much about mail-in voting, and I really just wanted our experience shared that we've gone through personally with mail-in voting. I mean, I've done in-person voting and mail-in voting. I remember too, the first time I voted, I didn't even have, I wasn't registered, or I thought I was, but I wasn't. It was for John Kerry.
Oh my God.
I think it was John Kerry or Al Gore. Anyway,
one of those. Yeah.
I wasn't registered in that county. I think I didn't understand absentee ballots. I was just 18, and so
right.
I did a provisional ballot right there on the site, and I just knew it wasn't going to be counted. I knew. I'm like, this is not going to be counted. There's no way. And then when he lost, I'm like, go count again. I was a provisional ballot. So fun times on that one. But
right. Well, but this election, it's like, please make sure you're registered, and please make sure you vote. Like this is such an important election that I mean, everyone should really vote in this.
Yeah. And give mail-in voting a whirl. If you've never tried it, do it. It's great. It's easy. It's fun. It works. Yeah.
It's just a quick little drop off. Well, anyway, that was a great episode about democracy and the Project 2025 mandate for leadership. So anyway,
good one.
Yeah, for sure. So in our next episode, we're going to explore some more of this agenda, and it looks like we'll be looking into some of the FEC, antitrust, and Russian interference. So please,
of course, they don't say Russian in that. but I know what it is.
Oh yeah. So I can't wait to hear what all that's about. So please please keep listening, and until then, stay safe and stay informed. Thanks everyone for listening to Real Talk. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen. We look forward to having you on our next one.